Welcome back to Little Birdie. I'm your host, Nick Heathcote. Little Birdie is a unique look into the world of sports betting. I'm joined by my co-host, Samantha Jane Todd. How are you?
Fabulous. It's a good day. It's a very good day.
She's up and about. And OB joins us again from AFL Ops World. He's starting to become a regular. Great joke last week.
Yeah, I don't think we'll go back to the joke, but Scooty and Sammy, good to be here again.
Love having you.
Now, it's been a really interesting AFL finals series and NRL finals, but let's talk about a little bit of a controversial Twitter storm from last week, the gravy debate.
I can't believe this is even a debate, guys. It's putrid. That's it.
Well, there was an interesting tweet from SJT yesterday. Roast, beef and gravy chips, crisps, packet chips.
Yeah, someone found some.
Ugh.
Atrocious.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be subscribing to them, but yeah, everyone's different.
Now, it's spurred up a little bit of a debate on the Twitter sphere again, and most gamblers are actually very opinionated when it comes to food. There's some sort of correlation between people that like to have a bet. They're usually pretty good on the fang, and SJT is testament to that. Now, it brings me to, the cold chip or the packet chip crisps power rankings. So I thought I could lead us off here and you guys can just take pot shots of my power rankings. But number one for me is Twisties. Like Dim Sims, I don't know what's in them, but they are great. And I sort of swing with my Twisties too. I like cheese some days, and other time that real chicken flavour. It's not natural, but gee, it's good. It hits the spot. That's my top rank.
I'm a chicken flavour fan, but I can't get into the chicken Twisties.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't get into them.
Agree. I do like the original Twisties though. There we go. Definitely.
Yeah,
That's
nothing
a
wrong with
tick.
cheese.
I'll zip through mine. The thin, plain crisp. It's pretty old school. I'm against kettle chips. A lot of the new folk or the younger listeners will be into me because they probably only know real kettle chips. But the thin crisp, if you put them in between a bit of bread and some butter, that got me through a lot of school lunches and it got me through a lot of my life, really. Number 3, I've got Doritos Cheese Supreme. And I've got a big rule. You can't use powdered corn chips when you're making nachos. It just has to be the plain corn chip with the salt. So there's just, if you're going to eat corn chips by themselves, I think the Cheese Supreme's a big winner. So that's 3. Number 4, Pringles. Now, these things have been my go-to when I travel overseas.
Absolutely.
When you're in crisis, when you've got a crook guts, when you've had a big night, sometimes you can only, muster the courage and the residual energy to go down to the 7-Eleven, and Pringles have been there for me in South Africa.
Yep.
Sorry, not South Africa, South America, Singapore, everywhere, Bali. It's always Pringles the go-to, and I think the sour cream ones are probably the best of the Pringle variety.
Definitely.
Well, I'll get to my rankings because they're very.
I've got my last one.
They're very high, but
I'll slide through my last one as Cheezels and Cheetos. I can't really split them, but they're sort of like an airy, fluffy version of a Twisty.
Yeah, I've got an issue with that. No one wants more air and less flavour in a packet of chips. It just doesn't. No one wants that.
Well, it's a big box. You get a big box of Cheezels. You put them on your fingers as a kid. They're versatile. Kids love them, and I still love them.
yeah,
I'm a closet Cheezle fan.
they wouldn't be in my top 15.
I'd keep that in the closet, actually.
Yeah.
Well, OB, can you...
Okay, so here's mine. I'm against you. I was sort of raised on Ruffles.
Oh,
The
wow.
old Ruffles,
Yeah.
they're Lays now. That was sort of my Alice Springs Broadmeadows days. But then I have ventured, to my private school upbringing. I'm a big kettle salt and vinegar fan.
Salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar. I am salt and vinegar through and through. Plain if you are a little bit boring. I'd take both. I wouldn't complain.
Have you ever put a chip in your mouth and you think it's like a chicken flavour or plain, and all of a sudden it's salt and vinegar? They just
rude.
stun you.
It's rude.
So
It's a shock.
I go the other way. If I don't think it's salt and vinegar and it's plain, it's here we go. Yeah. So anyway, number 2, Pringles salt and vinegar. I'm a big salt and vinegar fan, or original if you're travelling around the world. So India and Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
Pringles original got me through.
So you have the palate of like a 5-year-old.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yep. So with some cooler cordial. Number 3, Doritos nacho cheese.
Yeah.
I like the flavour on your fingers where
Cream
you can, sort of lick it off. It's beautiful.
Doritos need to come with those little KFC wet wipes.
Yeah.
They are so
True.
messy.
Yeah, but you wipe it off and
What
put it on
do you
your
think about the finger licking of the chips in COVID times? Is this going to be a no-no if people see you
Definitely.
outside?
Yeah, and you can't share chips anymore. So the big bags are out. You've got to get the little bags.
So many people, every boyfriend's happy about that. I'd say.
Number 4, Red Rock honey soy chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Yes.
I'll concede.
They're sort of your mainstream. They're your higher end. And then number 5, a little bit controversial, but Grain Waves sour cream and chives.
Ah, they're not bad.
And you can feel a little bit healthier then. You think, okay, I've only had a few, and then all of a sudden the bag's gone. Now, a couple of honourable mentions. Honourable mentions, burger rings. Just every now and again. You see them in a vending machine at Richmond Station on your way home from the footy. I'll try them every now and again.
Richmond Station is the place.
Yeah, and Smith's chicken flavour. Just a big
they are
handful.
solid.
They go everywhere.
Yeah,
and
the crinkle cut.
Yeah, and my value for money, Natural Chip Company, salt and vinegar. When you go to Woolworths, they're $2. You can't go wrong.
There's a little bit of an asterisk on this list. There's about 4 different varieties of salt and vinegar.
Yeah.
SJT?
Well, I put mine into our little group chat earlier, and I'm just going to say Scooty's basically ripped off my list.
Oh, no way.
So
Not the first time, won't be the last.
no, I just expect that these days. I can't go near chicken though. I will salt and vinegar is a no. Chicken, absolute no as well. It just reminds me of when I was a kid making those 2-minute noodles.
yeah.
The chicken flavour. I was hardcore on the chicken flavour back then, so I just can't go near it now.
You still eat 2-minute noodles?
It depends how hungover I am. I've moved on to the
It's like a warm
boring,
hug.
actually.
2-minute noodles.
All right, what do we got on for the rest of the show?
Okay, we'll straighten up here. We've got AFL. The Saints plus last week we tipped up. They didn't really take their chances. 31-point win from the Tigers. I thought they should have covered.
Absolutely. Yeah, they had their opportunities. Max King, good player, couple of shots directly in front. He's got to kick those if he's going to be a good player. A couple of apologies from mine. I spoke about last week. I said Jack Revolt was the danger.
Yep.
If St Kilda were going to win. He had 4 touches, no score involvements. Wilkie was outstanding, so apologies to the listeners out there. And also on Geelong, I said that Dangerfield has to play in the midfield if they're a chance.
Yep.
He played 4 and kicked 4. So, I'm going well.
It was amazing. I think Cam and Dowson especially, they pretty much declared the Cats. They were all over it, and it was a lot more of a line ball game for me. And the travel fatigue was a really big thing for Collingwood. It went from SJT's favourite game of the year, the Pies and the West Coast, to it was almost unwatchable.
I thought both finals were a little bit unwatchable, sort of in the second half. Richmond always seemed in control, and Geelong after quarter time there was no stopping them. It was sort of a bit of a Love Actually, try and find that on 9Gem or something after that.
Now, speaking of programming, I got a little beamer bonnet. You got only a handful of games, or 4 games of AFL and NRL. And Top Rope won't like me saying this, but I think NRL should step aside and play second fiddle to the AFL. But to have these finals fixtured at 10 to 8,
Precisely
10
the
to
same
8,
time.
exactly, and we're all in this COVID crisis. PVL needs to throw us a bone, or maybe it's Gill. And I heard Eddie on the morning, or maybe Monday morning, or something like that. He said that Gill and PVL should get an Order of Australia. Well, I'm sorry, you cannot get that if you fixture both of the games at the same time, and it's going to happen again this week. I found myself straying over to the Rabbits versus the Eels, and it was beautiful to watch. But again, I'm in this predicament.
We shouldn't have to choose.
No, we shouldn't have to choose.
It's
it should just be
un-Australian.
exactly. There should be like a 6 o'clock slot, and then a 10 to 8, and we just watch double headers of everything.
Well, I'm a fan of the 7:50 start.
Of course you are.
Yeah, and I'm not just going against you guys, but with a young child, put them to bed, 7:30, a bit of dinner, get a couple of beers, you're into it. So pros and cons, but they should not start at the same time.
Yeah, they should line up one into the other.
Absolutely. I think you made a good point, Scooty, about horse racing on a Saturday. You don't have 2 races starting at the same time.
No, exactly. It's got to, the calendar's got to work in together. But
didn't someone start scheduling key race days on the same as other key race days in Victoria?
So I think Sir PVL's choice.
yeah, well, all of
It has a bit to do with NRL as well, I think. Yeah.
I don't think Victoria and New South Wales will ever get to cooperate. But big final. So you got Port and Richmond on Friday night, Lions and Geelong Saturday night, Penrith, South and on Saturday night, and the Storm and the Raiders on the Friday night. The State of Origin squads are out. Imagine being a player. You've got through the season, a COVID one. It's been madness. What fresh hell is playing Origin after the season? The Western Bulldogs are in party mode.
That's right. Just imagine Nathan Cleary wins the grand final for Penrith. Wants to do a few TikToks as he's renowned for, and then he gets called into Origin camp. Like, come on.
We'll have a look at LeBron. He's on the scars in the change rooms. He not coming back for the All-Star game, hey? out of the bubble. It's just ridiculous. There's no racing on today's show. We've got Beck Doctor tomorrow. It was a good episode last week.
Yeah, make sure you check it out and follow us on Twitter as well at BeckDoctorTV.
Yeah. So we're gonna shimmy a little bit, and we've got the dogs. We've got the Greyhounds, the $1 Million Chase. We've got Paddy McKenna on debut. He'll look at the big races there. The puppies. Sam, you got a bit of a history with the $1 Million Chase?
I was really lucky last year. I got to be a part of the coverage for Win 9. So that was terrific. I had a really, really amazing time. It was my first time at Wentworth Park and converted. Love it.
Now, Paddy McKenna, he looks like Tom Cruise, but he bets like Jelko. He is
What
white.
a man.
Yeah, he's an absolute dreamboat. We're going to take a break and we'll talk AFL next. But if you're betting horse racing on the weekend, punting form's been guiding me through.
Oh, it's an absolute must. If you want to take your punting to the next level, you cannot do it without the right tools. And the right tool for the job is puntingform.com.au.
Up next, AFL with Dowson.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. We are about to get kicking off on some sport. No more of this jibber jabber about chips. We are getting into it. Who do we have up?
We've got Dowso. We've got Obi in the studio, Scooty, but we've got Dowso, a.k.a. Dawson's Creek. And the reason why we play the Dawson's Creek music, one day, accidentally, it had Dowson on the run sheet. And it could have been my fault, could have been someone else's fault. But ever since, there's been a bit of a mix-up. Dowso, but it is Dowso, but we love playing the Dawson's Creek just to rev him up. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, guys. No problems at all. Yeah, a bit of fun with the Dawson's Creek music. So we've got a bit of mistaken identity in the first segment too. So I might crack straight into it, Scoop, with Bad Beat.
There it is.
Now Brent Sarafa. I got excited when I first saw this one slip into the tweet replies because I didn't really see his name to start with, and I just saw the photo. And I thought, how good's this? That's the guy off the telly. Sam Pang, he's on board with Bad Beats. but then, of course, I looked a little bit closer and I saw the name and I just realised it's just the guy off racing.com.
Oh.
But excellent to have him on board nonetheless. Now, old Brentley is all over the Seahawks and the Vikings. Total points over 53.5. The Seahawks score with about 20 seconds to go with a touchdown, and it puts them up by 1, and they move the score to 53. So you're thinking, beautiful, 1-point conversion, just put it through the big sticks. I don't think they ever miss, do they? And Brentley's home, but no, they go for the two-pointer. They go for the 2-point conversion. They stuff it up, and no total points for old Brentley. So bad luck there, old mate. Just one interesting one. No one tweeted it in, but the Collingwood Cats under total points. What torture that was for the unders bettors. They start the first quarter, no scoring for the first 6 or 7 minutes, which is absolutely beautiful. Halfway through the second quarter, you're thinking, oh no, this is in trouble. They're about 50 points deep. Half time, you're like, I'm on the wrong side, but I could still be okay. No scoring for the whole third quarter. You're thinking, yes, no problems at all. Wrong. 10 goals in the last quarter. Bang. And that line goes way over. So bad luck to the unders better there. And Dylan Pisconeri, he's a long-time listener, first-time tweeted a Bad Beats, and we thank him for his tweet. It always helps to share when you've endured the trauma of a bad beat. So thank you very much. He's on the halftime line in the All Blacks on the All Blacks line in the Bledisloe Cup. Now, of course, the Wallabies are going really well, but the damn ball breaks just before halftime. The ABs are streaking down the field. Pass. They're in the clear. He goes over the line, but no, drops the ball. What's he doing? So poor old Dill was just left to ponder what his Saturday night might have looked like if he just held on to the ball. So that was a bit unfortunate for poor old Dill there.
Yeah, the video footage on the NFL game and the reunion game that you just mentioned are cracking. So head to Little Birdie Pod, have a look at the replays, and they are two of the sickest beats that I've ever seen in my life. Now, the state of the game is Douse. Let's talk AFL. This is your wheelhouse. You're all over the Cats. A little hat tip. You nailed it there. I could have been swayed to the Pies, but they dismantled the Pies and sent them packing.
Yeah, they just looked, I think there's been a fair bit of talk about it this week already, but they just looked a bit physically and mentally shot. You know, they've been in the hub over there for the quarantine stuff over in WA. They had to travel back, and they were facing a hungry team that I think really has been rated better than the Pies all year. I thought the Cats was the right one there.
Yeah, I think it showed that the top four are clearly better than the bottom four of the eight, which, all punting suggested the same thing.
It's been let's mark the Collingwood scorecard for the year. You know, is it an A+, a B, a C? It just seems like they've bounced from controversy to controversy. They've just had no reprieve from staying out of the press with either injury or bad news, or now, you know, trade talk. Like, it's just one to completely forget for the Pies. They were fancied early in the year, and for the amount of problems that they've had both on and off the field, I'd still mark their scorecard really high. I'd still think that, you know, they're maybe an A-. What do you reckon, Douse or OB?
I think B+ personally. I don't think they're quite in the A category, but I'd say bring on 2021. I'd be all over them for the premiership in 2021.
Douse?
I think that's been the story of Buckley's coaching career, hasn't it? He's just had so many injuries, so many things go wrong, off-field controversies. Eddie getting his head in the news for the wrong stuff about Collingwood. They've it's poor old Bucks. He just hasn't had a really good run at it, I don't think. In terms of their year this year, I think they had a pretty tough draw, to be honest. They had that period where they had that really condensed fixture, which involved the travel over to WA. That didn't do them any favours. They managed to sort of get it all back on track against that game against the West Coast, but yeah, they probably haven't quite been up. I think AB said it. They haven't been quite up there in the top four teams for a while, I think.
And then Richmond and the Saints. Lynch back, Tigers back.
Yeah, I actually think the Saints probably should have covered there. That was a bit of a game of missed opportunity and good fortune for the Tigers as well. I think back to that first quarter. Bolton kicked a couple of good ones, and McIntosh kicked one that Warney would have been happy with. It sort of rolled through, and Vlosten gets that one overturned. The bad misses by the Saints. I don't know if the Saints would have won, but they should have been a lot closer, I thought. They just missed their opportunities. They're
definitely an A+ if you look at their scorecard, wouldn't you say, OB?
Yeah, definitely
overachieved.
Yeah, they've overachieved. The worry's probably next year for them, just sort of backing that up. But Max King's going to be a very good player. Dougal Howard played well. They have to sign Carlisle ASAP. And Ryder coming off a hamstring, not sure how he's going to go. So it'll be interesting to see who they top up with.
Douse, do you think they've got the full selection and natural improvement will help them along, or do you think they need to land a big name?
Geez, who's out there? Who can you get? It would be great to see a sort of a more polished player go into their midfield. Their midfield's maybe a bit more working class, or perhaps Hunter Clark. He might be the one. If he can get his motor and his fitness up to a level where he can really, start running out games, he might be the difference player for the Saints. But I do think they need that just one extra really class player. So, yeah, a lot rests maybe on Hunter Clark.
Let's look forward. Port Adelaide versus Richmond. Sammy, odds first.
Yeah, well, it's in the Adelaide Oval. Obviously, Friday night. Port Power are the favourites here. They're 1.5 point favourites. You can back them at $1.85. Richmond, $2. There's been a little bit of money, a couple of $5,000 bets for them on Port Adelaide, I should be saying, yes.
Dowso?
Yeah, from what I can see, that looks like the money's been for Port. I think it was the market started up in some market providers flipped the other way. Look, I think the only way Tigers can win is if their pressure goes to another level. Like I just don't think we've seen the real Tigerish pressure this year that we've seen over the last couple of years, and I think they really need to turn that up if they're going to win. And I think a guy that needs to really step up and play a big game if the Tigers are going to win too is Trent Cotchin. I think back to 2017 where he was the skipper in that prelim against the GWS, and he was ferocious. He set the tone that day, and I think that needs to happen with the bigger bodies of Port in the midfield. I think Koch really needs to have a big one.
They're gettable, the Tigers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd be backing Port Adelaide. But having said that, I think Richmond's forward line, if they get the ball in there often enough, I don't know if Cleary and McKenzie can go with Lynch. Lynch is in good form. He looked agile on the weekend. So that would be the worry, how much ball they got in there for Port Adelaide. So, Port's midfield really have to pressure the Richmond midfield for that.
Be interesting to see what fatigue factor for the Tigers. Fresh legs could be key, and the Geelong were a lot fresher than Collingwood last week, so maybe that trend will continue. Sammy, let's skip across to the Saturday night game.
Yeah, so the Lions, the favourites, $1.77. They're giving away 4.5 points here. Geelong Cats are $2.10. Fun fact, the Cats are 4-0 at the Gabba. They've had a little bit of specking as well, some money at the line there.
Brisbane are 10-0 at the Gabba.
Dowson?
Oh, I probably haven't been as high on Brisbane all year as some. I think I've only backed them once for the whole year, and that was against the Doggies. And I've been opposed to them a few times as well. So I probably haven't rated them as high as the market. I still have the Cats rated higher than Brisbane here. But the thing is here, you got the home ground advantage, and then that flips. I guess the slant back the other way to put Briz as the favourites. And I think the market's about right here. I can't find a bet in this one. If you had to force me, I'd probably lean slightly to the home team. But look, it's a pretty even contest. And I think that's a bit of a lesson there for the punters too. Just because the footy's on the telly doesn't mean you have to back it. You know, the last thing that we want to be doing here is flipping coins at this time of the year. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the footy this week. It's going to be a huge, huge weekend.
Okay, so we do like betting. So
yeah, we do. We do like betting.
So what about the premiership now? If I have to force you to back one of these sides to win the grand final from here, who's it going to be?
Probably Brisbane.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right, we'll give you a little bit of a freshen up. The Brownlow will happen, the prelims will happen, the grand final will be set, and we'll get you back for a full preview for the grand final. Thanks, Dowso.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And now it's time to talk footy with Cam Dean.
G'day, guys. It's Christmas for punters this week. It's Brownlow time, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, it's the only event nearly in the world that the race has been run and you get to back competitors once they've already crossed the finish line. As a bookmaker, it was a nightmare for me when I was working for BetStar. I think I laid Judd when he won at $26, and I stood Ablett to lose $1 million the year that he got it. So it's been a bit of a nightmare for me. But Cam's crystal ball on fire. Lockie Neal, you tipped the listeners into Lockie Neal at around $3.70 from memory, and now he's into $1.25 or around that quote. It's sort of a bit of a non-event again. The Brownlow you mentioned.
Yeah, it's not very much interest in the outright. I think he just wins. I've seen every single comparison site and predictor has him winning it, so I'd probably stay out of the outright market. And there's probably look at other markets like the winner without Neal market, for example.
Snipers like yourself love playing in these little prop markets and just ripping the bookies to pieces. So without Neal, you reckon you found the winner?
Yeah, I think Petrarca is the one there. He's had a good year, but he's very noticeable the way he plays football. He breaks out of the centre clearances, he runs with the ball, he kicks goals. The other two guys in that market that can sort of win at a Boak and Steele, and they're both like Steele was used to be a tagger, and it's his first good year. And Boak, he's not really a flashy sort of player, so Petrarca's the one that stands out to me there.
What about the odds there, Sammy?
Yeah, well, it's been specced a little bit with Top Sport. So Petrarca's into $2.75. You can get on with Top Sport there.
Boak $3.25 and Jack Steele $5. You're a bit of a Jack Steele fan, OB?
Yeah, I am. Look, I'm a little bit biased towards Steele. Very good-looking man. I think the umpires might like him that way, but
wow.
It'd be Boak for mine. I think Boak's had a terrific year and flown under the radar as well. If he was in a Melbourne side, that'd be all over him.
Do we have a pageant market as well? This is unreal.
He'd be hands down on Steele.
Bit of an operator. Now, the Brownlow Medal team markets. Punters usually multi these up, and it's heartache and heartbreak for the bookies. Cam, have you found any rorts in the teams markets?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it. It's pretty detailed, so I couldn't cover it all just in this segment. But if I was looking for a lock, I'd be looking. There's two teams that I think. I think Taylor Adams for Collingwood. I think he's clear winner there. I think probably not short enough because of Pendlebury and Grundy's history. It's his sort of first big year of being favourite there. So I think he's just a lock there. All the comparison sites I've seen have him winning well. And the other one is Bontempelli. So I'd be putting Adams into Bontempelli. It's a two-man race for the doggies, McRae and Bontempelli. And McRae gets a lot of the ball, but he's not as noticeable as Bont. And like I've even seen the stats predictors have them very similar. So I think if they're similar, then Bont's going to shine through because he's more noticeable as a player. He does more with the ball. So yeah, I'm really like Bont there as well. So I'll be Bont into Adams for the lock there.
Sammy, Western Bulldogs market chances?
Will McRae's $1.80, Bontempelli's $2. If you wanted to pop that into Taylor Adams is $1.45 for the Collingwood team.
Nice little Michael Doublé. So there's a little bit of betting action for the next couple of days, but then there's only 3 games of AFL left. Dowson said that you shouldn't really have a bet this weekend on the AFL. Like, is he sweet, Cam? There's 3 matches left.
I think he's got some positions he wants to hold on to. I sort of see what he's saying. I think you need to be a bit more patient with these finals. I've seen like a lot of these finals where the moves come late and they just go too far. So, like for example, it seems to be that the punters are really liking Richmond, Port Adelaide, so far, and they could get to a point where they get too short. So you might get some value Richmond on the off. And similar with Brisbane Geelong, it seems like the punters are liking Geelong there. So if you've got Brisbane anywhere near $1.90, I'll be backing them there. I think that Geelong haven't played 2 good games sort of consistently well during recent times. They play one great game and the next week they're not so good, and it's going to be tough for them to do play against Brisbane. With Brisbane home crowd advantage and week off. So I sort of like Brisbane in that game, and sort of. Again, Brisbane to win the premiership, I think they're probably the value because they could, they've got Geelong this week and then they could get Port Adelaide, which would be an easier grand final for them than Richmond, and that would be a great result for them.
What about a cheeky total points bet? I'm a sucker for it.
Cheer overs.
Yeah. This week it's interesting because finals generally are lower scoring than normal. They normally average about 6 lower than the home and away season. But this year, I haven't noticed that. Like, they seem to have been, like last week was quite high scoring. So, I'm probably going to be staying out of those at this stage.
Beautiful work, Cam. So Cam's already got Port Adelaide at $8.50 in his premiership book, but he's suggesting a little cover-up bet on Brisbane Lions around the $3.20 mark at topsport.com.au. Cam, we'll get you back on next week after the Brownlow to talk grand final week. Can't wait.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Now, Sammy, if you're going to step into the Lions on the prelim finals and just throw Dowso's advice out the window, TopSport have got an amazing special, haven't they, on their line product? They
do. They're offering $2 lines, which is just unbeatable. There's literally no margin in it for the bookmakers. And I think if you're getting $2 lines, you can probably sort of push things a little bit, can't you? Because you're getting a little bit extra. So make sure you're staking responsibly for your financial situation. If you're concerned about yourself or a loved one, call 1-800-858-858.
Up next, we've got the Tom Cruise of greyhound betting. We've got Paddy McKenna, and he's going to talk the $1 million chase.
But you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money.
Welcome back to Little Birdie. We have an amazing race coming up for the dish lickers, the dogs. It is called the $1 Million Chase, and we are welcoming a great guest to the show to help us out with that. What have we got?
Paddy McKenna. I mentioned him before. I said he looks like Tom Cruise, but bets like Jelko. Is that right, Paddy?
Oh, you can run with that if you like. I'll make a play.
Is that on his Tinder profile? Fabulous.
I think his Twitter profile, he's got a picture of Santa, so he must just give little droplets of information out on Twitter and considers himself a bit of a Santa of the greyhounds world. But Paddy, on a serious note, how did you get into punting, and how did because you're a full-time greyhound punter, you've done it for as long as I've known you. Tell us how.
Yeah, so I've been going about 5 years now, and I basically got into it because I hated my job. So I thought I'll have a crack at something else. Always been an avid gambler and probably a losing one until I found my niche and just went with the flea dodgers.
And then, so what drew you to the dogs? Was it a hate for jockeys, or you had a mentor, or what was the angle?
No. It's probably not so much a hate for jockeys, but you can't trust humans, I would say. So, in the end, I just thought you may as well go with something that runs from point A to point B as fast as it can, and therefore it should be fairly easy to work out. That was my logic anyway. It's probably come to fruition because I've managed to, be doing it for about 5 years. So, we'll keep riding the wave.
Now, at the start of the show, we spoke about packet chips and potato crisps. If you're sitting there betting on the dogs, and I feel for you, it's late at night, you're probably having a sneaky stubby here and there just to kick you along a bit. What chips are you dining on to get you through a session of greyhound punting?
I'm a bit of a fan of the French fries.
Oh,
So they're little, the little long and skinny ones, or straws, or something like that. I think they're called.
A bit left field.
Yeah.
Did you
real vending machine type of chip, isn't it?
the plain or salt and vinegar?
Run with the plain, nice and salty though, but just doesn't have the vinegar addition.
Bit of context there, Paddy. OB's given us his top 5, and 4 out of the top 5 are salt and vinegar chips. So it's like crinkle cut. It's a real sickness and addiction to salt and vinegar. Now,
There's no other flavour.
Now, looking at Friday night, Wentworth Park, we got the $1 Million Chase. Sammy was on the telly last year, and she presented all the odds and was up there highfalutin, as she does, with Cam Williams from Channel 9. But now she's regressed. She's with us. She's with the Battlers, but we're better punters here. And Paddy, steer us into the winner of the $1 Million Chase Friday night at Wentworth Park.
Look, I think I'm going to have to go out wide in box 8, Tommy Shelby, Perth dog. I just think it's the class dog of the field. To be honest, I don't think it's a great final. I reckon a few of the good dogs have missed out here. A lot of the Victorian Brigade have missed out, leaving it to be the class dog in the race. There's no pace in boxes 4, 5, 6 and 7. So it'll be out wide doing its own thing for the first 100 metres, and I reckon it can zip across. And if it sits outside Flying Ricardo, I think it'll put it away mid-race and just be too strong for him.
A lot of confidence, and I love the way you described it. Just out wide, doing its own thing. Now, Sammy, what's the market moves at Top Sport for Tommy Shelby?
Well, it's in from $3.70 to $3.10. It's the clear favourite. Flying Ricardo's in there at $3.50, then the $3.70 at Shadow Mist. So it's a bit of an open affair, despite your confidence there. If you did want to put your money where your mouth is, though, Top Sport is offering bets to up to win $5,000 right now, and to win $10,000 late in betting on the night.
Big kahunas.
That's big.
Paddy, you'll
make sure you bet responsibly.
You'll start opening the account there. They're your sort of figures.
Absolutely, I'll be cracking into that. I didn't actually know that, so that's
Look out, Tristan! He's going to start firing the torpedoes. Duck and cover.
We normally have to wait to NBL. We're in a bit of a I don't know, I guess you'd say low liquidity markets for dogs. High volume, low liquidity, lots of races. But, that's good to know from Top Sport. They're always a leader in the market. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real trick being, I guess, a greyhound punter. Harder to get on. So racing's a little bit deeper the markets, and the 9 o'clock NBLs you can get on to win 2,000, and there's a host of different bookies. But yeah, the greyhound markets, they take, it's only the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes they get really liquid and competitive. So it's sort of fast and furious stuff. What about the Sydney Cup? That's the other really big race on the card. Race 7 at Wenny Park on Friday night. Paddy, what's your lean?
Look, I think the Victorian dogs have got a mortgage on this, and the market probably reflects that. You've got Here's Tears at a box 1. Sunset Birdie, which is sort of the up-and-comer, it's at a box 7. I guess you'd have to say probably the best sale that we've seen for the last 5 years, Tornado Tears in box 2. Tornado Tears has probably gone off the boil the last sort of 12 months. It's sort of racing unattractively, I guess you'd say. It tends to have periods of its race where it doesn't really chase particularly hard, but I just think it maps really well on Friday night. I think Here's Tears will probably lead out. It'll stay off the track. Rockstar Beeve, the other Victorian, will probably be pushing up early, but also stay off the track and just give Tornado Tears the suck run. I'm a little bit scared because it doesn't chase particularly well at the moment. But I just think the mere fact that Here's Tears, it'll chase Here's Tears for most of the race. And then if it finds the front in the last 50 metres, then it can hold on and win. I wouldn't want it finding the front too early because it could turn off and shirk the issue a bit. But yeah, that's my lean. And I mean, it is the track record holder, admittedly a while ago, but that's where I'd be playing. Tornado Tears.
Sammy?
Shut your eyes a bit though.
Sammy?
Yeah, 370 and solid, sort of around that 370, 380 it got to. Sort of price point. Sunset Burbski is the favourite there, $3.20 into $2.35. Here's Tears, 360 into 330. So staying pretty solid despite the moves at 370.
Sounds like he's a big map man, our Paddy. Enormous on debut. I love where your head's at with the French fries. Another little lateral play, and it probably sums up why you're betting on the puppies and you're not just going the generic twisties and the Pringles and all the, the obvious things. You just get out wide for that French fry value, and they're a real vending machine sort of chip, aren't they? Like it's a late night, pump the vending machine. It's sort of, you'd probably find that at Richmond Station, wouldn't you, OB?
Yeah, you always see them on special. You always got the special in front of them.
They were a must in a lunchbox as a kid, that's for sure.
Thanks for joining us, Paddy. Good luck.
Good on you, thanks.
Up next, it's Hall of Fame time. It's top rope time. He's coming off the long run, the last segment. We've saved the best for last. Sammy, this week, if you're betting on the puppies, you just basically told us why. They bet the biggest, don't they? Top Sport.
Why would you bet anywhere else? If you want to get on, you've got to get on at Top Sport. That's your only option these days. So make sure you head to their website, topsport.com.au, to get the best odds and to get on for a serious amount. If you're a serious punter, you need to be punting with Top Sport. Make sure you are gambling responsibly on 1-800-858-858. You've been patiently waiting for it. It is time. It is time for the Hall of Fame, and we've got Top Rope Tedeschi here to do it with us. How are you?
Very good, SJT. How are you guys?
We're fantastic, mate. We've had the cold chip, packet chip debate. Twisties have reigned supreme, getting all the votes, and OB has just opened himself up as a closet salt and vinegar fan.
Yes, OB. Yes, OB. Love it. Anyone who doesn't salt and vinegar number one is wrong. Salt and vinegar is Chris number one. Thank you. Argument over.
Well said. I knew I liked you.
Hall of Fame time. Brent Nader, AJ Moreira, Benny Arn. Who we got this week?
The great Willie Pike. He has been the punter's pal in Western Australia. You'd back him in the last if you were on your bollocks. You'd back him in the last if you need a double through. He's gone to Victoria. All he does is win. 4 winners on the weekend? Just do your absolute best. Just any price. Bang. Arcadia Queen knocks off the hot pot. Yeah, winning on dirty work at a decent price. Windstorm comes over, he just gets the job done. The great Willie Pike. How he's not in there already, I don't know. That's an indictment on me. Willie Pike.
Ole Kirk, fantastic in the Guineas as well. Now, top rope. Eddie Maguire thinks that PVL and Gill should get an Order of Australia for keeping the game going. I know you'll side with PVL, but it's been a bit of a debate at the start of the show. AFL and NRL this week, both at 7:50pm time slots. What an absolute disgrace. Until those guys can collude and then put the finals, the pointy end of the season at different times, I don't think they should get an Order of Australia. What about you?
Well, I'll say this about Gill. He is going better than his predecessor, Andrew Demetrio. There's no doubt about that one now. I still say I wouldn't be rushing to give him an Order of Australia medal. So all he did was copy PVL and run 2 weeks late, and then have the temerity to try and go up against the NRL. And then he'll do what he always does. He'll just go and rely on the old Metro ratings to talk up how many people watch the AFL. Never mind for the next 5 biggest provincial areas of rugby league heartlands, and more eyeballs will be on the NRL this week. You can't have them going head to head though. There's 4 games of sports. Like why they were head to head, absolute stupidity. AFL is a daytime sport. Go and play your game at 2 in the afternoon. We'll move on. Save the big time for the NRL.
Oh, the typical slant. Now, South Sydney, you were specking them for the flag last week with the wet sail over the Eels last week. I tuned in. The AFL was unwatchable last Saturday night. I thought it was brilliant. And in the other match, the Milk drowned the Chooks.
Yeah, it was a good week for the punters. We were on the Raiders and we were on the Bunnies last week. And from a betting point of view, South scored a try right on the buzzer, an unlikely try to cover the spread. God bless them, hit the 13 plus for those who are on. So absolutely tremendous work by South Sydney. It's a high-scoring game. And the Raiders, wow, they came out of the blocks and they were sensational against the Roosters. That's 2 years, first premiership team to go back-to-back since 97-98. Their run is over it too.
Sonny Bill Williams was fantastic, wasn't he?
Well, was he there? That's the question. All I know is they conceded 60 once he got back. They went bang once he got back. They won 2 premierships before he was there. So, I don't know. Correlation, causation. I'm no expert in these matters. All I know is he's a grot and the Roosters are
Oh, I love this. Friday night football, Suncorp, Brisbane. Melbourne Storm odds versus Canberra, Sammy.
Yeah, so Storm's favourite, $1.48, line of 6. Canberra Raiders are $2.70.
Top rope.
Absolutely sensational game. I think the grand final winner comes from this match here. I think the Raiders present as tremendous value at the +6. They've both played the Storm pretty well recently. They've won 3 of the last 4 clashes. They've covered 10 of the last 15. The Raiders get the Storm because they're not intimidated by Melbourne's big men. Melbourne don't usually get the platform they do against other sides to operate. I think it's going to be a very entertaining affair, but I think the Raiders are great value +6. I will be launching into the milk again. They're a remarkable 24-9 against the spread as a road underdog. So I am chips in the Raiders here.
Lapping up the milk. OB, you got a smile on your dial?
Yeah, I love the milk. It's just a great way to describe them.
Saturday night, Penrith Panthers, South Sydney Rabbitohs. Sammy, odds?
It's basically the same here. So 6-point line here. Penrith Panthers are $1.47. Souths are $2.75. So a little extra.
Tristan's just doing the old copy and paste.
Just
same odds every week.
Top rope. What do you give the momentum versus the week off? How does that stack up in your punting?
I rate momentum this year in particular very, very highly. Normally, I think it's a little bit overplayed. Like the team with the week off typically wins this game. Usually, the better team. But this year, 2 factors. One, the new rule have just made momentum in games super important. So teams who can play fast are really hard to beat. And both South and Penrith play super fast. But these guys just have that run on that the Tigers had in 2005 and the Eels had in 2009, where they have just built up a ridiculous... Their confidence is through the absolute roof. And I'm also pretty sure you guys will be familiar with the phrase pot committed, but I could not be any more pot committed against Penrith, so we may as well rise down to the bitter end. So I think South +6 is great value. I think the best bet in the match is the over 44.5 points. South's games of top 61 points 5 of the last 8 times. You can usually get about $6 out. So for the lair punters out there, the 61 plus is definitely a runner.
Top rope, outstanding stuff. We'll keep you fresh, and we'll see you next week for the grand final episode of Little Birdie Podcast.
I cannot wait, guys. I cannot wait. Good punting.
Thanks for joining us.
That's brilliant work yet again from Top Rope Tedeschi. It's been an amazing show. Highlights of the show and takeaways. I'll go first. I love Paddy McKenna. In the $1 Million Chase, he's given Tommy Shelby an absolute rubber stamp. $3.70, I think, at Top Sport. That will just start disintegrating. He heard that they were betting up, and he'll just be chipping away at that price. So make sure you check that out on Friday night. But what was your highlight of the show, SJT?
I was a little bit disappointed in OB coming out about this vinegar business.
Salt, vinegar, chips.
No, I can't have it. But you're right. I'm also very, very excited about the Greyhounds.
You're not the first female to be disappointed with me, Sammy. Anyway, I've got a bit of an all up here. Rugby League, Women's Rugby League Grand Final on the weekend as well. First try scorer, Tamika Upton into Amber Hall, player of the match, and Broncos to win for mine.
That is very, very
it's filthy,
lateral.
I love it.
That's all we got time for on Little Birdie Podcast. Head to @LittleBirdiePod or littlebirdie.pod.com. Don't forget Bet Doctor tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's where you get all your racing action.
Can't wait.